Okay, here are the section 5.1 notes. Page 3. Here is how we use standard form to rewrite in general form so that it's easier for us to graph. So it should say from standard to general. Obviously, I need to rename some of these. Anyway, I am going to do this over here in the left margin. So then we can use the right side to rewrite this in factored form and look at all three forms. So here we go. I got negative x squared minus 4x plus 12. So if I'm thinking of this in standard form, my a is negative 1. I'm going to color code in a minute. My b is negative 4, and my c is positive 12. And so my a is this coefficient right here. Remember, just a negative means times negative 1. My b is my linear coefficient. And since we've got it written as ax squared plus bx plus c, anytime there's a minus, that negative is attached to the coefficient. And my c here is this positive 12. Okay. That is going to be helpful up here. So we've done step 1 from above. So to find the vertex of the parabola, given the quadratic in general and standard, you know, they go back and forth between what's standard and what's general. We've identified A, B, and C. So we're gonna find H by using kind of a chunk of the quadratic formula. So H is always going to be negative b over 2a. So down here, H equals negative b over 2a. I always write that first because sometimes when I have a negative in front of the b and my b is also negative, it's easy for our brains to convince us to leave out one of those negatives. Okay, over 2 times a, my a is negative 1. I get positive 4 over negative 2, and I should have written smaller. So I got an h of negative 2. We find k by plugging our h back into our function. So k is going to be, what do I have? I have negative x squared, so negative 2 squared, minus 4 times my x, which is negative 2 plus 12. I get negative positive 4 plus 8 plus 12. I get negative 4 plus 8 plus 12 is what, 20? Which is 16. I have chosen a poor graph here because my vertex is at negative 2, 16, which does not match up with the graph I have, so we're just going to renumber here. I'm going to make this, we're going to count by 2s instead of 1s. We'll be fine. There we go. This becomes minus 4, minus 8, minus 12, minus 16, minus 20. I want to be consistent. And question how I missed that, but whatever. Okay, now in vertex form, which looks like this. The a is the same as it is above, so it's that negative 1. X minus negative 2, I found h is negative 2. K is positive 16. Okay, if we have to write it in vertex form. But we know the vertex is -2, +16 right here. I can also look back up at standard form, and I see that my intercept should be at 0, 12. Okay. That's enough to graph it. But I also want to try this. I'm going to go ahead and factor and see if I can use factored form to give me just a little more information. So here's what we had. We had f of x equals -x² minus 4x plus 12. I do want to factor out that negative. It'll make it easier for me to factor what's in here, just because we're used to seeing that x² being positive. I got x times x. 6 and 2 will multiply to give me 12 and are 4 apart. But I want a +6 and a -2, so they add to give me +4. Okay. So I've got the negative out front. This should open down. We already have that happening. I should have x-intercepts at -6, 0 and at 2, 0. So let's see if that makes sense. Here's my -6, 0. Here's my 2, 0. Seems to be pretty symmetric there. And I'm going to go ahead and graph this super skinny because I'm counting by 2's. So we have factored form. And we have vertex form, which we got all from standard form. You know what I mean.